morning, it's good to have you back. Let's continue our focus on hijackings. Johannesburg has numerous hotspots. Heidi Giokos is speaking to role players about what's being done to combat carjackings. Earlier on, speaking to Brigadier Brenda Muridili. Let's now find out what Heidi has in store for us, just to find out whether or not the community can be protected by law enforcement during these times where hotspots are galore in Gauteng. Heidi, when it comes to hijacking. Good morning.
Morning, Tumelo. Yes, I think it's quite a worrying picture, especially given the fact that the statistics that are coming out shows that every 22 minutes somebody is hijacked, and I think that's alarming, and law enforcement, of course, needs to intervene and try and assist residents so that they can feel safer. And to get more perspective on what the city of Johannesburg is doing, we are joined by the MMC of Community Safety, Jaxi Kwaila. Thank you so much for your time, MMC. We do appreciate it. Just maybe tell us interventions from Community Safety about what you are doing to help residents and those in the city of Johannesburg when it comes to hijackings, given the numbers are quite alarming.
No. Thanks and morning to you and to community out there. As is indicated, my name is Jaxi Kwaila, MMC of Public Safety in Johannesburg. What we do from our side in terms of intervention, we will gather statistics from SAPS with regard to the hotspot of car hijackings. On our side, what we'll do, we'll then increase more visibility in terms of police. Then secondly, we shall deal with issues of crime intelligence on the ground, tips-offs. Then subsequently, we'll deal with issues of roadblocks, stop and search. That's what we do. But normally, we'll rely on the stats from SAPS. Because anyway, what we'll do, then this case are reported at SAPS. Then such information, we then gather it and then see how then we deal it.
Is the situation worrying? Does it give you sleepless nights? I know you just newly elected, but does it worry you?
Indeed, no, it's very worrying. Very worrying. There are many issues that are very worrying. As you see, after being appointed and pronounced by the EM, Executive Mayor, one of us, first day we went to Eldos, second day we went to Westbury. Very, very worrying. We will be on the ground, no time to sleep. Even over the weekend, we were with Provincial Commissioner Mawele in Soweto, did some roadblocks, very, very serious big roadblocks there. We've arrested quite a number of people and recovered a number of stolen vehicles there. But obviously, one of our stakeholders is the tracking companies, which normally assist us a lot, providing us some stage with the devices so that we are able to trace some of the stolen vehicles. But indeed, we are very much going to have sleepless night, especially going to December, anticipating that. We'll see. We'll get more stats from SAP so that we know how to intervene as the GMPD. Thanks so much.
Just last question, I want to ask you about how you are engaging with communities, because often they are your eyes and ears on the ground. They often see these things happening. How are you engaging with them and also making sure that they feel safe to, come to you as the MMC and say, this is what we are seeing, this is what we are picking up? And I ask this in the context of the parent that tragically lost his life in Soweto outside a school in full view of learners, where he was basically trying to intervene in a hijacking and he lost his life. Residents are looking at this and going, I don't want to get involved in this, but you need the community. So how are you engaging with them?
No, we have started already in two communities, in Eldos and Westbury. Last week, we are continuing again this week, going back again. But CPFs will also, is one of our most biggest stakeholders, rely much on the I've mentioned issue of tip-offs. You are correct. Tipping off is very dangerous. When criminals pick it up, those who are tipping us off might find their lives at danger. In Eldos, for instance, after we went there and we brought in more officers, other community leaders were complaining because those who are criminals now are taking the community center. You brought the mayor here with the MMCs, now we're in trouble. But how we operate, we need to be very much careful. We shall, in fact, because now one is in the office, identify a hotline where people can then send tip-offs anonymously so that we then intervene. Thanks so much.
Great, thank you so much. We wish you all the best. I also just want to get the perspective of JMPD's spokesperson, Xolani Fitla, about some of the hotspots. Thanks so much for your time, Xolani. We do appreciate it. Maybe speak to us about the hotspots in and around the city of Johannesburg and what motorists and residents as a whole need to be worried about and look out for.
Thank you to you, Heidi, and let me greet the viewers, and thank you to the MMC for joining us this morning. Yes, it is a worrying view. that we're having a lot of car hijackings within the city of Johannesburg and within the province of Gauteng. The MMC did allude that we rely on statistics that are supplied by the South African Police Services, and from those statistics we check which police stations which lie within our region and which where car hijackings have been reported. And within the city of Johannesburg is basically the whole city, except for Region B, which is Randburg. So we've got areas in Midrand, in Ruby Ridge, in Alexandra, Sandringham, in Soweto, in Moroka. Is I think number 3 of the highest within the country of car hijackings. We've got in the south of Johannesburg, which is Eldorado Park, and we've also got Orange Farm. So as the MMC did say that when we work closely with other stakeholders, we deploy our officers there, make sure that we are seen, we are visible. We know that visible policing is a great deterrent for any criminal activities, but also interventions of stop and searches, searching vehicles, and we have had much success in recovering hijacked vehicles with our units, so the K9 unit and the undercover unit, and where they've arrested people who are caught up in this business. Just 2 days ago on Saturday, our undercover unit in the Johannesburg CBD arrested 2 males who hijacked a Toyota Quantum, and those are one of the most hijacked vehicles. It's the Toyota Quantums, the Hilux, the Etios, the Fortuners, and also the VW Polo and Nissan NP200. So we are keeping a close eye on things, and for members of the public, for you to be aware of this situation and to take care and avoid being hijacked, it's most important that you are aware of your environment. Keep a close lookout for vehicles that are following you, and especially at night, avoid driving in secluded or deserted areas, especially when you're alone, because then they take advantage and they hijack your vehicle.
It's very worrying, and as a woman in this country, it's even more worrying. I'm very glad I don't drive any of those cars that are the worrying vehicles. I just want to ask you one last question, Xolani. You mentioned the fact that there's a lot of operations that are underway, but I want to ask you in terms of whether or not you're seeing these hijackings becoming a lot more violent. So whether you're seeing an attack on these JMPD officers that are having these operations, but also on individuals driving these vehicles. Are we seeing a lot more people getting attacked and murdered when these carjackings and hijackings happen?
Definitely, Heidi. Criminals are becoming more brazen now. It's either do or die for them. They know that we are not going to take any chances as well. So whenever we're faced those type of situations, we're going to use the amount of force that we can. So they are becoming brazen. So another thing to warn members of public, if you are faced with that type of situation, don't resist, because they're going to do as much as they can to neutralize you. So don't resist any type of violent situation. Rather just let them go. And if you do have a tracking device, as the MMC did say that we work closely with tracking companies, the vehicle will be tracked and it will be recovered. It's rather you losing your car than losing your life.
Certainly. Thank you so much for your insights. We do appreciate it. That is JMPD spokesperson Xolani Fikla, as well as the MMC for Public Safety in the city of Johannesburg. I just quickly want to add, Tumelo, the fact that the newly elected Premier of Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi, has also been on some interventions and meetings with regards to this e-government that they are embarking on. So really trying to get technology involved in combating crime and putting these cameras up to try and see if they can get to the bottom of this. It's clearly a huge problem, and there are a number of hotspots, as you heard from the MMC and JMPD. That's the whole of city of Johannesburg, excluding Randburg. So it's a big concern, but hopefully the interventions from the MMC and JMPD and SAPS as a whole will really get to the bottom of this.